Hey everyone, Dr. Zeo here again, and whoo! Yo, this episode of Power Rangers Dino Fury was great. Not good, not meh, not okay, or but it was great. If I had 3 thumbs, it would get 3 thumbs up. But, so the theatrics aside, let's talk about Power Rangers Dino Fury, episode 14, Old Foes. This episode had a mission. It didn't dawdle around. Its mission was to bring back Lord Zedd. The OG of OGs. Lord Zedd himself is back. And it looks like he's going to be staying for a little while. And I am excited. I'm so excited because they respected his legacy in this episode. And I'm impressed. I am very much impressed. But let's go over a brief overview of just what happened in this episode. So this episode opens in Area 62. There's a cloaked figure approaching the jukebox that Void Knight keeps all of his sporks in. He's opening up, and Void Knight, Slither, and Mucus all approach him, and Void Knight says, "Who would be so stupid enough to try and steal sporks from me?" Whoo! This man turns around, takes off his shawl, and boom! There's Lord Zedd himself, the Emperor, Lord Zedd. Yo, everyone was shook. Void Knight was shook, Slither was shook, Mucus was shook. Lord Zedd, he said, "Who you calling stupid?" Immediately grabbed Void Knight, hoisted him up, kicked Slither off to the side, threw Void Knight against the wall. Void Knight was on his knees. Void Knight was shook. Void Knight couldn't do anything. And if it wasn't for Regal, Void Knight would definitely be dead right now. This was a really good opener. And it was funny. It was funny because of how serious it was. But yeah, so Zedd grabs Void Knight's sword and is very close to finishing him off while Void Knight's cowering in the corner. But Regal, I guess Regal, who's a sorcerer, steps in and tells Zedd to stop. So Siler's like, "Yo, is Lord Zedd following orders? What's going on?" And so Regal tells him that he's a sorcerer who has the ability to bring back dead beings. It's interesting that he said beings, not just monsters or aliens. I'm not sure if he was doing this as like an all-encompassing term, or if they specifically worded it that way because at some point they might bring back a human character. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, wording aside, so he brought back Lord Zedd. He also brings back Brian Blast and Wolfgang. Had to check on the names there, just to kind of accentuate the fact that he can bring back these past villains. And he tells us that he brought back Lord Zedd. First off, he tells us that he can bring back these beings, any being, any time, any world, right? So he brought back Lord Zedd at his most fearsome, or his most vile, is the word he uses. So we don't really know what that means. I just assume that's a roundabout way of saying that Lord Zedd is at his strongest. So you should be scared about that. I want to counter that with the episode does go to great length to show that yes, Lord Zedd is a very strong and formidable foe, and I appreciate that. But I think they could have done some. They could have laid the groundwork for this a little bit earlier. Like, Void Knight gets mollywopped by Lord Zedd. There's no beating around the bush there. But I feel as if they could have had Void Knight fighting the Rangers in an earlier episode, right? Like, Void Knight has fought, he's fought all 5 of the Rangers at this point, but at different times. He fought Amelia, Ollie, and Zato in the first episode, right? But that wasn't all that... I mean, it was a fun fight to watch, but it didn't really sell Void Knight's strength, right? He fought Amelia and Ollie, who were just brand new Rangers. This was their very first fight. And then Zato, who was just getting out of a stasis he's been in for thousands of years, right? That's not a really good gauge of telling us how strong Void Knight is. Later on, he fights Javi and Izzy. That was a fun fight, but again, he's only fighting 2 Rangers. Of course, he's gonna win. I would have liked it if he eventually fought all 5 Rangers at the same time, now that they've all had some chance to get some training under their belt. Zato's had some time to brush off the cobwebs on his fighting skills. They've had some time to fight out against the Sporks. if he fought all 5 of them before this episode and just absolutely whooped all of them, and then Zedd comes into this episode and deals with Void Knight like he's nothing, he hoists him up and just throws him against the wall and has him cowering, then that further tells us that, yo, Zedd is someone to be feared. Like, it specifically states that to people who have not seen Lord Zedd in action, and maybe people who haven't seen him in action in a long time. Because for the Void Knight to defeat the Rangers and then Lord Zedd to be like, psh, whatever, you're nothing. Like, that's a scary thought. Like, think back to Power Rangers Dino Charge. Remember in episode 3 where Sledge and his crew come down to Earth, and in a funny scene, Keeper gasses up his Rangers and dips like that, and then Sledge and his crew immediately mollywop the entire crew of Rangers, so all 5 Rangers at that time. They one-shot every single one of them, forcing them to demorph. Imagine if Sledge had been picked up by Zedd and tossed aside. That would be terrifying, because we know how strong Lord Zedd, or we know how strong Sledge is. The Rangers weren't touching Sledge, either that Sledge or Sledge back in the prehistoric times. They weren't touching this man. They had to cheat to beat him. Okay, they were not touching this man. For him to then get picked up like Sledge and tossed around like he's a ragdoll, that would have been terrifying. And I would have liked to see something similar happen here with Void Knight. But that aside, after so Void Knight makes a deal with Regal. So he says that if you bring me the Rangers, then I'll give you 1 Sporks, because Regal wants to use Sporks Beast to to power up his sorcery or whatever. I guess make his reincarnations more powerful. I'm not too sure what exactly that would do, but okay. And then we cut to the Rangers at Buzz Blast, and they're all celebrating Halloween. They're trying to plan out their Halloween outfits, and apparently they don't have Halloween on Ravcon, Zato says, and apparently spiders on Ravcon have 16 legs. I think he said something about them also having like 2 eyes or 2 heads on each leg, something like that. I couldn't really tell from the audio, but I'm like, ugh, I wouldn't want to run up against a spider like that. Like, no. But that was a funny little scene. But anyway, the point of this scene was to establish that Ollie doesn't really have any fears that they're aware of or that we were aware of at that time, which, I mean, yeah, I can buy it. Like, the dude is very much a logical person. I can see him using that logical sense to kind of, push down any fears that he might have. But anyway, the Rangers decide that they're going to plan out like a horror walkway for him back at Dino Henge so he can, get a little bit of scares under his belt. So like, okay, let's do this. So he meets them back there. He goes on the horror walkway. When he goes off, then Zedd, Wolfbane, and the others, pop up. All others except for Void Knight pop up. They throw these sleepy cuffs at the Rangers, or the 4 remaining Rangers, and that kind of puts them in like a dazed state, right? So they're just kind of sitting there morphed in a dazed state. And then Ollie goes up against Wolfgang and let's call him Fishface, because I honestly can't keep remembering his name. But Wolfgang and Fishface in the woods, and he finds that, okay, I can't exactly defeat these guys because I guess they were still freshly revived, so that reincarnation energy was still rolling through them, so they kept being brought back. Doctor Who rules, basically. Fresh regeneration for all my Doctor Who fans out there. But then Solon jumps in to help him deal with Wolfbane, because remember, he has that ability where if he howls, it's gonna pop off your pieces, or it's something you don't want to have to deal with, right? So apparently they had extra of those lozenges that they used in episode 8, where the one where Mick helped Solon develop those lozenges. So Solon pops up and throws one of the lozenges in Wolfgang's mouth, and that renders his voice, incapacitated like before, right? And now, so Ollie ends up defeating them, and I like the part where Solon says, "All right, so I'm gonna step back. I'll be here, Ollie, if you need me for moral support." I like that. It's like after Solon last fight, Solon decided, you know what? Let me not get involved in these fights one on one. I'll just be there cheering you on. All right, go Ranger, go. That was good. That was good. But then Ollie goes and sees that Lord Zedd's there. You know, Solon's crouched near, crouched just outside of their field of vision, and she's looking at Lord Zedd and everyone. She's like, "Yo, Ollie, chill, sit down. We need to watch this. That's Lord Zedd. He's the Emperor," which apparently Ollie doesn't really know. Well, he knows kind of Lord Zedd. I guess he doesn't exactly recognize him or know too much about him, which, I mean, I guess that's fair. Like, they have the Ranger database that Mick gave them, but I guess, there's so many villains that the Rangers have fought. I understand him not exactly knowing who Lord Zedd is. He's got more. I don't know. That's not. No, I don't like that. Like Lord Zedd's too important for Ollie, the scientific one, to be like, yeah, who is this guy again? But what I liked about this scene the most is the fact that Solon keeps reiterating, yo, this is Lord Zedd. You are not about to take this man on one-on-one. We need to dip. Ollie's like, no, just send the Zords. We'll be fine. It's like, no. Ollie, the Zords aren't going to do jack against Lord Zedd. We need to go. Ollie, being the idiot he is, decides to goad Lord Zedd. He's like, hey, Lord Zedd, or Lord Z, let's go. I heard you're an emperor. Let's go. A little bit of one-on-one. Before Lord Zedd can get a hit on Ollie, though, Solon grabs Ollie and teleports away, right? This makes Lord Zedd mad, so he turns around, he goes, and he wants to destroy the Rangers now, and like, yo, Lord Zedd is all about destroying the Rangers, and I'm here for it. Like, I like this. Again, it shows that he's a threat, right? But obviously Regal stops him before he can actually do anything to the Rangers. So back at the base, Ollie again is mad that he can't go defeat Lord Zedd because his friends are captured. Solon's like, look, let's go ahead. Let me grab the Ranger database, legendary Ranger database. Let's go and look through some clip footage and see what we can do to help defeat Lord Zedd. Let's see if we have any ideas, right? So they go through some archive footage, show Lord Zedd creating the Dark Rangers of all things. Like that's not a clip I would have showed. That's definitely not a clip I would have showed. But he showed that. He showed Lord Zedd reversing time and turning the Rangers back into kids. The first time, I want to say. The only time he did it, I want to say. It's been a while since I've seen that season, or that part of that season. Then he also showed Lord Zedd using Serpentera to kind of stomp out Jason's, Red Dragon Thunder Zord Warrior Formation, I think it was. So yeah, that fully sells it. Yo, Lord Zedd is evil. He's bad to the bone. He's bad news, okay? And then we got a brief glimpse at like a new Alpha voice because stock footage. They needed a voice for Alpha, which I mean his voice wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I really don't have any complaints. And then I was like, okay, so how did the Rangers defeat him? Solon's like, they didn't. They didn't. They had to sacrifice Zordon in space in order to defeat him. And it shows a clip of Andros destroying Zordon. And that was nice. That's the first time that they've acknowledged Countdown to Destruction and the effects that had on the wider Power Rangers universe. What is that? Since Forever Red? When Andros threw out that line that, I save the universe? Like, it's been a long, long time. And I'm happy. I'm happy that they respected the legacy of Countdown to Destruction. That was nice. And I'll even says, okay, so there's no way we can, replicate the energy from the Z-Wave, which, again, I like them acknowledging the fact that you can't just do that. I don't know what it would take to replicate the power of the Z-Wave, but yeah, you can't just do that, right? I'm glad they didn't even attempt doing it, right? But anyway, they decide that, okay, maybe the compliance collar, if we take that off, Lord Zedd will be angry enough that we can, do something from there, right? And they go back and look at Beast Morphers footage to see, okay, that was a compliance collar from Ryjack. He is being controlled. He is being controlled by Regal, which was again nice. I like the fact that they're referencing, archive footage. That's smart. So Ollie teleports back. He uses his Dino Dagger again. These daggers, man. These daggers. Throws it, and Shockingly, the dagger hits Lord Zedd's compliance collar, breaks it off. Woo! Lord Zedd was pissed. Lord Zedd was pissed. This man does an about face and goes to go destroy Regal. Regal teleports out of there with mucus. Then now it's Lord Zedd going up against Wolfgang and Fishface. Ooh, this man put the business on them. Oh my god. The Rangers see that this is a very dire situation, so they team up with the Sporks Beast. Let me say this again. The Rangers team up with the Sporks Beast to go up against Lord Zedd. That's how dire this situation is. And Lord Zedd, he's having a pretty easy time just, beating everybody up. He ends up teleporting away because he doesn't have his staff. But he's like, if I had my staff, blah blah blah. You better hope that I don't come back, or else I'm gonna, scorch earth this place and destroy the Rangers as well. And I'm like, yo, they let this man escape. They let this man escape. I didn't expect that. I thought Lord Zedd would be here one and done, right? I thought he would be a Slider. I did not think that it would be the actual Lord Zedd. I didn't think that Lord Zedd would escape and come, they would leave him to come back later on. Like, that's a terrifying thought. That is a terrifying thought, because I don't think the Rangers have the arsenal they need to defeat Lord Zedd right now. So, yeah, he's a threat now. And I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited. But anyway, we cut back to the Rangers defeat the two monsters in their Zords, yada yada yada, Zord battle, whatever. It wasn't all that interesting. Then it cuts back to Void Knight, and he has the sleepy cuffs on Regal. He puts him in a jail cell. He says, okay, we could use you later on. I'm like, okay, what plans do you have for Regal, my boy? But then we cut back to the base. They debut their Halloween outfits. Izzy is dressed as a leprechaun. Javi's dressed as a zombie version of his father, which was funny. It scared Izzy. Emilio's dressed up as a vampire. Ollie dressed up as an astronaut, and Zeta dressed up as an Earth Knight, which was cute. All their outfits were cute. That was nice. But yeah, that's pretty much the episode. They teleport away to go have their Halloween festivities, and that's it. Yeah, this was a doozy of an episode. I'm sorry about the long summary. It was just a lot that actually went on in this episode. Overall, though, as I said at the beginning, this was a great episode. I'm super psyched to see where things go from here. Yeah, but I didn't like the way that the episode ended. They all know that Lord Zedd is a threat and somebody you don't want to mess around with. I don't like the fact that they didn't take a moment to actually reflect on this at the end of the episode. They kind of do so after he teleports away, but I feel like we could have used a little bit more of that. Like, oh snap, y'all, Lord Zedd escaped. We should probably, we're kind of scared now. Now, it would have been nice if someone's like, okay, we can worry about that here in a minute. Let's, we need to relax, get our nerves down a little bit. Let's go to the Halloween party now. Okay, we still have to do that. Then we can come back and come up with a plan. That would have been nice, but they were like they don't reference it at the end of the episode at all. I didn't really like that, but otherwise everything else, I didn't really have any other complaints. Zedd's voice is great. He's voiced by Stephen Lang, who was previously Master Lope in Power Rangers Jungle Fury, and who also voiced Venjix in RPM and Beast Morphers, so that's nice. He also voiced Evox and Beast Morphers as well, so it's nice to see that he's back as well. Obviously, Robert Axelrod passed away a few years back, so he couldn't return to voice Lord Zedd. Stephen Lang did a great job in his stead, so bravo. But yeah, that was the episode. It was a doozy. But yeah, on to our questions of the week. So question number 1 is the obvious: where in the world did Zedd go? Or where in the universe did Zedd go? They don't give us any hints at all. He could literally be anywhere. I was thinking, and I don't think so. I was gonna say maybe it was the moon base that he went to, but I remembered, okay, no, King Mondo took over that and turned it into his palace. But I don't think that they destroyed the palace. Like, I don't think Rita and Zed destroyed it. If we're taking the, well, yeah, the Turbo movie is canon, so we know that we saw Divatox phoning Zed and Rita, and they were sleeping in the palace. So I assume that they took the palace back and redid it again and back in their image. So I assume that he probably went there and dusted off the cobwebs. He's gonna take up operations from there. I'm hoping he does. I hope we see the palace come back. And I hope that he comes back as a villain for maybe the rest of the season, if not season 2. Either way, but they created a whole new suit for him. The suit looks beautiful, by the way. I didn't mention that before. My bad. The suit looks absolutely beautiful. It's super menacing, and I love it. But yeah, you don't create a whole new suit for this dude only for him to be there for an episode or two. Like, I fully expect him to be here as a prominent villain in season 2. I'm super hyped for this. Like, I'm super, super excited, and I can't wait. But yeah, I would think that he went back to the moon, and he's gonna redo the place to set up base of operations for the next season. But we'll see what happens. He might kick Void Knight out and just take over Area 62. Who knows? Question number 2. What are Regal? What is Void Knight gonna do with Regal? Like, Void Knight. I mean, could he reanimate Santara if she ends up dying? Maybe that's a plan B if if the Sporix Beasts aren't, if he can't get enough Sporix Beasts to revive Santara or take her out of that stasis thing, maybe he'll find out a way to utilize Regal's abilities to bring back Santara instead. Who knows? And another thing is, so before I mentioned, why did they show Zedd's Dark Rangers? That's not something I would have shown. Maybe though, maybe they're planting the seed so that later on, maybe Zedd teams up with Regal again, and then brings back Zeto's old team as a new team of Dark Rangers. That could be interesting, and that could pose a very interesting moral dilemma for Zeto. Do I fight my old teammates? Do I try to free them? What happens? Where do we go from there? Of course, I would think that you're not gonna kill his old teammates again. I would think that they would introduce another compliance caller, but who knows? Maybe they will turn them actual evil, and they can't just destroy a compliance caller to bring them back. But who knows? Eventually, I would like to see Zeto's old team demorphed. I don't expect that to happen, but who knows? But yeah, that's really all I have to say for this video. It's a bit of a long one because of how much happened here. I do apologize about the length there, but yeah, this was an important episode. This is a very important game-changing episode. Let me know what y'all thought about this in the comment section below. I'm excited for the next episode. I really, really am. I can't wait to see where this goes. But until next time, again, Dr. Zio here. Stay safe, mask up, get a vaccine if you can, and have a good week. Ciao.